Yo, hey, this shit easy, nigga. Hey, all I'm talking about, nigga, I'm still out here trying to get it.
Contender Regime Boxing checking back in with y'all, man. What's happening? What's going on? So, big question going into the ERROL Spence Jr. versus Danny Swift Garcia fight, December 5th at Cowboy Stadium on pay-per-view, Fox pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? A big question going into that fight is, what is ERROL Spence Jr.'s punch resistance like? Is his punch resistance compromised? Can he still take a big shot? And there's some genuine concern there, of course, and naturally with everything that he's been through. If you're gonna bet on this fight and you picking Danny Garcia as an underdog, you better be picking Danny Garcia based off of his skills. You better be picking Danny Garcia based off of some technical disadvantage that ERROL has going up against Danny Garcia, some type of advantage or some type of stylistic detail or reason behind picking Garcia over ERROL Spence. If you put money on this, if the whole basis of you betting on this fight and picking ERROL Spence to lose is that you think his punch resistance is gone, boy, you're going to lose a whole lot of money that you can avoid losing. I'm telling you that right now. Man, I want to say a big shout out to Fred from Barbershop Conversations. That brother always doing great work over there. Just doing a phenomenal job with covering the sport of boxing and covering one of my favorite fighters, ERROL Spence Jr. And he did an interview with Derrick James, Coach Derrick James, man, and salute to Derrick James. In my opinion, that's the best coach in the sport of boxing. I love everything about the guy, just a stand-up, down-to-earth guy. And you could tell he really cares about his fighters. And you could tell that he's more than just a trainer. He's an actual teacher. Like, he teaches these guys. He's an actual, instructor. And he gives, you could tell he rubs off a lot of wisdom on his fighters and the people around him. And he talked about a moment in sparring for ERROL Spence. ERROL Spence he's sparring a plethora of different guys, but one of the guys that he's sparring is fellow fighter under Derrick James's in his stable, Burley Brooks, another fighter from Dallas, Texas, who I think has a huge future in the sport of boxing. About 6'2". Right now he's fighting at 168, but that brother gonna be fighting at light heavyweight and cruiserweight later on in his career. Big puncher. If you go look at his fights, go look at his highlights. He's 6-0, 5 knockouts, but big puncher, very young and vibrant guy, and he give ERROL Spence a lot of good work in sparring. And he talked about a moment in sparring where Burley hit ERROL with a shot, a good shot right on the button, something mean. And at that moment, the way ERROL responded, how ERROL took the shot. You know what I'm saying? And then Burley tried to hit him with the same shot again. And then ERROL, he caught that punch, you know what I'm saying, and was able to make an adjustment that quick. That was a telltale sign right there. Just, the mental fortitude of ERROL Spence Jr., his toughness, and, his intelligence in the ring and his ability to adjust. And, that he can still take a shot. Now, I know it's sparring with headgear, with bigger gloves and stuff like that. But another thing that I want to touch on as well is that, you look at guys like, I talked about Vinny Pazienza in a community post, the accident that he went through where he was knocked unconscious, had a broken neck, came back around the same amount of time ERROL Spence came back, went on a 6-fight win streak, and went on to beat Roberto Duran. What I noticed was that before that accident, Vinny had a good ass chin. He already had a phenomenal chin, and he came back, and that shit might have made his punch resistance even stronger. If you look at Manny Pacquiao been stopped 3 times, but Manny Pacquiao got a good chin and he done been hit with some shit. You seen where Manny Pacquiao got knocked out cold by Marquez, and You know, he was knocked out. He was unconscious. He was knocked out cold. You dig what I'm saying? But, you know, he came back after that and, you know, had multiple fights, you know, been in there with Lucas Matisse, been in there with Keith Thurman, took some big shots from Keith Thurman and, you know, was never hurt in the fight. You know, but that just shows you that a guy that already had a pretty decent chin, and I don't think Manny Pacquiao's chin was ever as good as Errol Spence's, you know, but, you know, that shows you that a guy that had a decent chin, you know, already before taking a whole lot of punishment, you come back after that, you can still have a very solid chin. Most of the guys that become like really chinny is guys that have depleted their bodies and they just had just an accumulation of punishment on their body over the course of their career. When you look at Errol Spence, he ain't really had a whole lot of punishment on his body. You know, he had the accident, you did what I'm saying, and like I said, the time that he's taken off from that, the way he's been able to bounce back, get in the best shape of his life, I expect Errol Spence to have just as good of a chin and just as good as punch resistance as he always had, and he might be even stronger. His chin might be even stronger. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would be worried if Errol Spence was already chinny before the accident. Let's say he was already getting hurt in fights. He was already getting stumbled and fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And then you have this accident, and then you come back. And I'm like, at that point, I would be like extremely worried. Like, damn, you know, his chin wasn't the best already to begin with. But now I know he gonna be fucked up. Look at Kell Brook. You know, early on, Kell Brook, you know, had a decent chin, but he had an accumulation of punishment on his body. You know what I'm saying? He got beat up in the Triple G fight, got beat up in the Errol Spence fight. Then you go up in weight, you come back down, you know, and your cheekbones showing all crazy, your first fight back at 147, and you get stopped. He had an accumulation of punishment on his body. You know what I'm saying? Plus, he was 34 years old. I think it's going to be a lot of people disappointed when they get in there, when Errol Spence and Danny Garcia get in there, and they realize that Errol Spence, his chin is the same. He can still take shots. And keep in mind, like, Errol Spence's defense is underrated. Like, don't make it seem like he just being there, just taking punches to the face, just every which way. You feel me? Like, Errol Spence's defense, he's very defensively responsible. Now, of course, he's an offensive fighter, so you gotta take chances in order to get your offense off. So he gonna get touched, but don't act like his defense ain't good. You dig what I'm saying? So it ain't like he just gonna be in that hole getting hit all crazy, you know. But once he does take a solid shot from Danny Garcia and he don't budge, it's gonna be a lot of people disappointed. It's gonna be a lot of people disappointed. Like I said, man, I wouldn't bet on this. I would if you betting on Errol Spence getting knocked out based off of the accident, I think you're wasting a whole lot of money, you know. But hey, man, say be my guest. You feel me? Be my guest. Bet as much as you want. Bet your house on it, because if you're doing that, you deserve to lose every damn thing. You feel me? You know, but yeah, man, like I said, you know, it's been guys that came back from worse shit, you know, that's been knocked out like multiple times, that had, you know, multiple ass whoopings and was still able to keep their chin up later on in big fights and take big shots. Now you got a guy like Errol Spence Jr. who already had a granite chin. Y'all know how them Texas boys do, especially Errol Spence and the Charlo brothers. Man, them boys got granite chins. It's just either you born with it or you not. You know what I'm saying? Either you got it or you don't. Them boys got granite chins, dog. They can give it and they can take it. You know, so you got a guy like Errol Spence who already had a great chin. If you had to put a grade on it, that bitch A+. You feel me? You know, so you got him going into this fight after the accident, after he's been off for a year, full recovery, been sparring, been taking, you know, been putting it to the test in sparring. You know, Derrick James, who is a very, very intelligent guy, and I trust his judgment. I know he wouldn't put Earl in there if it was anything wrong. You know, and then you got Errol Spence Sr. that's in camp with him day in and day out. I know he wouldn't put his son in there if something was wrong. Them folks ain't hurting for no money, y'all. So trust me, this shit ain't got nothing to do with it ain't got nothing to do with no money. You know what I'm saying? That brother ready to go in there and prove something. You feel me? So I'm excited, man. Like I said, I don't expect Earl to have any type of effects as far as punch resistance from this accident. If anything, all this shit gonna do is make him, you know, stronger mentally and make him, you know, stronger physically as well, because he already in shape. This is probably his healthiest weight cut in a long ass time. So when he rehydrate on fight night, you're gonna see a noticeable difference on how healthy the weight looks on fight night as opposed to what it looked like versus Sean Porter and what it looked like versus Mikey Garcia. He gonna look a lot more healthy, a lot more healthy. You know what I'm saying? He gonna look, you know, a lot stronger and a lot more full. You know what I'm saying? A lot more lean and a lot more full. You dig? So I'm excited, man. I think this is gonna be a great fight, and I don't think it's gonna be any foul play, any of those type of issues what everybody worried about. I think you're gonna get a good two strong fighters that's ready to put on the show. That's what you're gonna get. You know, so like I said, man, if y'all betting on Errol Spence not being able to take a punch, if that's the reason you picking Danny Garcia, good luck. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. You know, did y'all watch the interview that Fred from Barbershop Conversations did with Derrick James on YouTube? If y'all haven't, go check it out. You know, what did y'all think about that? And what did y'all think about, you know, what he said about when Fred asked him about Errol Spence's punch resistance? Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. Contender Regime Boxing. I'll holler at y'all boys, man.